Hello and welcome to Our Toronto. Music has a way of expanding horizons, and that's what a couple of local musicians believe. They're called the Instrumentors, and they offer free guitar lessons to students who might not otherwise have access to them. The kids also get a free instrument through a partnership with Guitars for Kids Toronto, all part of an effort to empower young people through music. Meet the Instrumentors. Friends and musicians Judah Cunningham and Christian Tan bonded over music while enrolled in the Child and Youth Care program at George Brown College. A few years after graduation, they reconnected.
But we met up for a coffee or something like that, and this is when we figured out, after college, we had been incorporating all different types of music practices into every single employment opportunity that we did.
Chris is now a youth worker at Covenant House, and Judah is a case manager for Community Living Toronto. They decided to combine their passion for music with their passion for giving back. So about a year ago, they started a free virtual music program for young people called Instrumentors.
We were dancing with so many different ideas, and to us, it's just a combination of instrumental music and mentorship, and they just kind of go together so well. So because our program primarily focuses on the mentorship piece, the one-to-one interaction and really supporting someone's musical journey and musical education, the name just kind of all fit together really nicely. So that's where it came from.
Why is the mentorship piece as important, maybe sometimes more important, Chris?
Definitely. Because, like I mentioned, when students go to a paid school, they feel this disconnect from their teachers, and that's the barrier that we want to eliminate. So we do take that time to develop a really good relationship with the youth and the families that we work with.
They decided to prioritize students from low-income families, trying to remove barriers to music education, and it's rooted in personal experience.
My family wasn't rolling in the dough when I was growing up, and I actually didn't own a guitar till I was about 19 years old. I had access to friends' guitars and music instruments at school and stuff, but I didn't have a guitar in my hands until I was a bit older. So even that experience for me, it really is important for me that all kids who want to play music should have that opportunity.
Did you both have music in your lives growing up?
Yeah, 100%. Just from my parents to my grandparents. My grandma, she would always play the piano, always. And every time I go to their house, it always seems like a soundtrack when I come in. She's always playing something on the piano. And that she had such a wonderful impact on my life in terms of musically, but also taking that music aspect into other aspects in my life. It's just never give up, always finish what you started kind of approaches and lessons from her. And it was always so beautiful to me.
Thank you, Guitars for Kids!
The Instrumentors program is a free one-on-one introductory music course taught virtually to students from elementary to high school. They've partnered with Guitars for Kids Toronto, a charity that refurbishes guitars and donates them to students in need.
Music heals, music helps people with depression, music connects people together, helps children feel like they're part of a group, helps them express their feelings, all those things. And it's just a simple thing. It's a guitar. So that's how we felt. We were very passionate about music, and we felt it was very important that everybody have access to this if they're interested.
The partnership works really well because they have lots of guitars that they want to get to kids and their families, and we really want to teach and mentor. So whenever a young person gets a guitar, they get a mentor and some lessons as well. So it just clicked and it worked really well. And Guitars for Kids is absolutely awesome, and we could not be running this program without them.
But what Chris and Judah are doing, is even better for us because we can actually follow the kids and we can see that they're going to get their initial lessons. So they're well on their way. It's a wonderful program. They're truly inspirational young men.
It felt so joyful and excited because I actually never had a new guitar before.
12-year-old Blessing Jaisi says going through the Instrumentors program taught her much more than playing the guitar.
I think playing guitar is like playing music so that others can listen to it and sing along or dance along with it. And I think it helps to express others' feelings.
So what's how do you make that connection in your first lesson?
We do a strength-based approach, meaning, we emphasize and we support the things that they like. So we talk about their week, what they like playing, what they would like to learn, instead of like having our own agenda, pushing it onto them. They almost take the lead in terms of that, what they want to learn.
You kind of try to teach them the basics so that they can just run with it afterwards. But what are the basics? Like, what does that look like in a lesson?
Most people are like, oh yeah, I'd love to play guitar. That sounds so awesome. But then when you actually try to play it, it's really hard on your hands. It hurts your fingers. So holding down the strings. So I want them to like slowly start building calluses. So I teach them a little exercise. It's just like walking up and down the neck. And it just sounds like a little bit like this. And we count with them. We're like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after we did that for a while, I always say, if you can do this for 5 minutes a day, you're really going to strengthen your fingers. And it's so exciting when you come back to the second lesson after teaching that, and they're like, Judah, check this out. And they're getting it and they're able to do it.
Turning the basics of music into lessons to last a lifetime.
And like the therapeutic benefits of music, because I remember one of these students last cohort, she was saying that, whenever I feel not 100%, I would just go pick up my guitar and play. And from that, because we use music as a coping mechanism, from either playing or from listening. And I love hearing that from a young person, just already utilizing that coping mechanism.
Music has that unique power to just really connect people. It's the universal language, right? Some people have different language barriers, but you hear a beat, you hear a drum, everyone's bobbing their head and they're dancing along. And so I think in many ways, that's why we really wanted to give that gift to other people and have their relationships be bonded over music.
Shame and hate. Look inside yourself, yes, you'll see something great. There's always room to grow, and it's never too late. Or what you need to do.
Well, if you want more information on the Instrumentors music program, how to enroll, volunteer as a mentor, or make a donation, you can visit their website, instrumentors.net.
I finally had enough time to tackle a task that I've been putting off for many years. I inherited 8 boxes of sheet music from my grandparents.
After uncovering a family treasure kept in the basement, this woman found thousands of music sheets and a new window into the lives of her grandparents. That story is coming up a little later in the show. A young Brampton woman has won an international fashion competition. She and Sasha Rudak bested 30 other designers from around the globe, taking home a $100,000 prize to develop her fashion line, Flaws of Couture. Her collection will also be featured and sold on the fashion company's website. Natalie Collada caught up with fashion's latest star from right here in the GTA.
Welcome to my studio away from home.
Be bold, be you. Sasha Rudak is stitching her credo into creation.
And if you can have pieces that really just allow you to show up as the person that you know deep down you are, then life just gets much more entertaining and exciting.
Her designs are about representing all body shapes and sizes, something limited in the fashion world.
I've never gone into the mall with my friends and shopped till I drop. I don't know what that's like, but think about that on a large scale. The entire mall, there's only 2 to 3 places that someone above a size 12 could shop at.
So she started designing, creating the label Flaws of Couture, eventually selling pieces over social media.
I was just blown away, and I just knew then and there that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be a force to be reckoned with, because if I can do this, it's on. So this whole collection, so many of the pieces are pieces that I've always wanted to have for myself.
So when the Shein X contest came up, she jumped in and took over.
She has that fight and that hunger in her, and I don't think she's gonna let anyone else win this competition but her.
Oh no!
And she didn't. Ruddock won the entire contest, taking home the $100,000 prize to invest in her label, now selling her collection on Shein's website.
I just want people who are wearing my clothes to feel comfortable but elevated. I want them to feel really high fashion, but, you know, sporty and sexy and attractive and seen.
Dropping next week, her outerwear collection, allowing all women not just survive those GTA winters, but thrive.
You know, you don't want to have to feel like you're not your best self arriving to wherever you're going simply because you had to go and get a jacket because you were cold. You know, you want even the pieces that you're wearing on the outside to really show up and show out.
Words she lives by. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
A new human rights photography exhibit in Regent Park encourages us to look beyond Toronto's landmarks to learn more about the people who live among us and the social challenges some of them face. Called First Look First, the exhibition, now open at Daniel Spectrum, features the work of Toronto photographer and activist Giled Cohen in his first solo show. Kelda Yoon met up with Cohen at the exhibit this week to learn more.
So First Look First is a photography exhibition featuring 18 large-scale cityscape pictures of Toronto. Within each photo is a different person from the GTA who's experienced a unique human rights challenge. There's people who have been wrongfully incarcerated, folks who survived the horrors of the residential school, refugees from North Korea. They're sort of buried within each photo, sort of on purpose, to encourage us to look beyond the landmarks of the city, to look beyond the sort of postcard imagery that you see for the humanity that exists all around us.
Each photograph is accompanied by a short story about the person in it.
In this photograph is Hyuk. He's a North Korean refugee who escaped from North Korea back in 2010. What I've tried to do here, as best as I could, is sort of recreate the experience that someone may have had when they were undergoing some human rights challenges. This individual told me that when he escaped from North Korea, what got to him was the shiny lights across the border in China. They sort of lured him in. And so I took him to the place in Toronto that had the most light, the most lit, Yonge and Dundas Square. There's another photograph of a woman who's a residential school survivor. She's on Queen Street West. I wanted to put her in front of a building that to me sort of looked very colonial. So I put her in front of a courthouse. And in the image, you can see her walking away from the courthouse, almost to say that she's walking away from the residential school system and walking away from that past that's behind her and moving forward. What I'm hoping is that these images, these iconic images of Toronto, lure the viewer in and encourage folks to learn more about the individuals who are in the photo and learn more about some of the injustices that exist here in the city. That, for example, Black people are 20 times more likely to die in a fatal experience with the police than non-Black people. The fact that there are over 50 boil water advisories across First Nations across this entire country, that on any given night, more than 10,000 Torontonians experience homelessness. I want people to get connected to these stories.
There is also a multimedia component. Through an app on your phone, each photo can come to life.
The intention there is to bring life to these images and also bring life to the stories that you're seeing unfold in front of you.
How did you go about finding the subjects?
I've had the privilege over the last 10 years through my full-time job at JAYU, which is a human rights and arts charity that I founded, to connect with some of our world's most remarkable people who've also experienced incredible injustice. So I felt a responsibility to these people that I had met, but also a responsibility to my community to shed a light on some of the injustices that these folks have faced.
And it all started with this photograph of a young man dear to Cohen's heart, the piece entitled, "I Will Be Your Friend in the Daylight Again."
It's a photo of a streetcar in the sunset on Queen Street West. I took it of a person in Toronto named George who was struggling with homelessness. I actually got to mentor George over the last 6 years through some youth programming that I'm doing. And so I wanted George to be the first. Unfortunately, George actually passed away earlier this year from substance abuse, and he's no longer here to see this exhibition. But when I look at this photo, I'm reminded of George, and I'm reminded of the beginning of this project. And so this exhibition is dedicated to George. It started with him, and it ends here with him as well.
And you can check out the exhibit First Look First at Daniel's Spectrum in Regent Park until October 18th.
I love Toronto. It's very cosmopolitan. Boy, it gets cold there.
He's produced more than 35 films since 1983, bringing social and political issues to the screen. Our Dwight Drummond got a chance to sit down with Spike Lee and talk all things Toronto. We'll have that conversation coming up. This week, Dwight Drummond had the opportunity to speak with iconic film director Spike Lee. They talked about the impact of Lee's work and the duty of artists. And as you can expect, they also caught up on all things Toronto, including our cold, wintry weather and his message for Drake.
So Spike, you've been to Toronto, and yes, I know it was really cold during the NBA All-Star game because I heard you talk about.
I've been in Toronto since then.
Have you filmed here?
No, I have not.
Okay, but you've been here.
For a while, a lot of people were shooting in Toronto for films that were supposed to be taking place in New York. But New York City is better. What do you call it? Film things. So incentives.
Okay. All right.
They don't do that anymore.
What do you think of Toronto? What do you think of our town?
I love Toronto. You know, very cosmopolitan. Boy, it gets cold there.
It does get cold. What do you think of our baseball?
Very diverse too.
Yes, very diverse. We do.
No, Toronto's hip. Toronto's hip. You know, I cannot hate on Toronto at all.
All right. Can we talk about our basketball team versus your Knicks then? How do you think we're going to do this year?
Not better than us.
You don't think so, Spike? Really? We have been
your guys. Where is he, Miami? Where is he now?
He is
your
Miami.
Point guard.
We've lost Kyle Lowry to Miami. Yes, we have, sir.
And who left before that?
Yeah, there's this guy named Kawhi Leonard. Okay, let's not talk basketball. Can we talk baseball then? Can we talk about baseball right now? Because we are beating up on your Yankees.
I know. It's you know, I can't. What can I say? We're not. Everybody's expecting. You know that we have a. You know, I think it's like 12 games left.
Something like that, but yeah.
So we needed really to win these last two against the Cleveland team, Cleveland baseball team.
Thank you.
And we got beat 11-1, crazy score. So
yeah, let's go Toronto.
We'll see what happens.
Yankees are out of it. Do the right thing.
Whoa. We're not out of it yet. We're not out of it yet until officially eliminated.
Okay, we won't officially eliminate you, but it's a race down to the wire this season for that wild card position. Do the Right Thing, my favorite movie of all time. Fight the Power, probably my favorite hip-hop song. A generation of us.
Whoa. What's your favorite film?
Do the Right Thing. Come on now.
Nah, I heard on the low, it was Drive Miss Daisy.
No. School Days may have been my second favorite film. I've got to grab it. I actually have your 5 for 5 book here with me because I was such a Spike Lee fan as a young man. My sister, Sandy, actually bought that book, 5 for 5, for my birthday.
Oh, well, next time I see you, I got to sign it for you.
I have it here, and you will. Now, you know, we really came of age with your films, and we really credit it, I guess, with empowering us, you know, positively affecting the way we looked at ourselves as young black people. I mean, we started going to Howard University for the step shows. We didn't even know what stepping was up here. We went to Howard.
You know?
Thank you. I mean, did you think that your art would have that kind of effect on a generation of people who look like you?
Well, I wanted it to be, but you know, you never tell because sometimes things just don't hit or connect. But history, herstory.
Yes.
History, herstory has shown that these Spike Lee joints have had a definite effect on the culture and an integral part of the culture. In fact, this past week, Rolling Stone magazine came out with their 500 greatest songs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm not saying that I agree with all lists, but I'm not mad that Fight the Power came in at number 2.
Come on. 1989. Come on.
Another summer. Oh, funky drummer.
Come on now. We could go through that. Let's finish up with this. Have you been reflecting through this pandemic? And do you think that, you know,
yes.
It's been such a difficult time on our planet. Do you think that this time will lead to some great art?
I do. I think that artists, in a lot of ways, I think that's our duty. Our artistic duty.
Yes.
To reflect what's going on and comment on it. And this pandemic, people have been dying left and right.
Yes.
In the United States of America, more Americans have died from COVID than World War I, World War II, Korean War, Afghanistan, Iraq.
Yes.
I mean, you know, we're going to be near 600,000.
Yes.
And on top of that, not to belittle, you know, people you don't know, but all the great artists that have died, I mean, during this COVID, every day someone else is...
Somebody else, yeah.
And not to say that all those people who passed, who made that transition, died of COVID, but it's just, I mean, Michael K. Williams, that hit people hard.
That young actor.
That hit people very hard, and you know, it's just like it hasn't stopped.
No.
And when that, for me, again, I'm speaking, you know, personally, it made me think much more. Like I never used to think about dying.
Okay.
But when people dying around you, loved ones, friends, people you don't know, your heroes. For me, it's natural thinking about me making that transition.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this thing has made people just go insane, you know. People, I mean, it's really, they're gonna do studies and they're gonna be books,
maybe
and
movies
and plays and songs about how
this
pandemic affected people.
Spike
So
Lee.
this thing is, you know, this thing is not over.
It is not. Unfortunately, our interview is over, and we do so appreciate your time and your art and just the decades of just really
put in work, baby.
Man,
put in work.
Transformational work that not only helped my community, but I think just showed a side of us that maybe we did not see in mainstream culture before Spike Lee and his joints came along. So Spike,
W-E-R, like Rihanna says, work, W-E-R-K.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time, man. Keep striving, and hopefully you got decades more of work to give us. Thank you, Spike.
Yeah, do me a favor. Tell Drake.
Yes.
Wait, what's the thing? Loverboy?
Yes,
Tell
certified
Loverboy. I need a seat next to him when the Orange and Blue play the Raptors.
We are getting that message to Drake, yeah.
You got a speed dial, right?
Yeah, we'll set that. So Drake and Spike Lee watching our Raptors beat the Knicks together courtside. Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Thank you, Spike.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Peace. Peace.
Peace.
Coming up, Grant Lawrence has his weekly pick from CBC Music. We'll be right back.
Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? I wish everything was different. Wish I was part of something. Wish that anything I said mattered. Have you ever felt like you could disappear?
Dear Evan Hansen is now playing in theaters across the country. The film is an adaptation of the Broadway musical, which opened in 2016, and it proved to be the industry's biggest hit since Hamilton. But does the jump from stage to screen pay off? Okay, who better to ask than Eli? I think, Eli, there's something obvious we need to get out of the way here. Broadway fans may be thrilled that Ben is back, but it's been a few years.
Yeah, Ben Platt, who plays a high school student in Dear Evan Hansen, is 27.
Okay.
So he's been held back in school for a couple of years. We have to imagine. Now, it's a bit of a conundrum, right? Because, like, he is Evan Hansen, right? Like, he originated the play. He played it on Broadway for many years. It's hard for fans of the Broadway production to imagine anyone else stepping into Evan's striped shirt. And yet, you know, he's closer to 30 than he is 20 now. And I have to say, when I started to watch it, seeing him there in high school with the school band, walking the hallways, it took a little bit of an adjustment, but let's be clear. I mean, this is not the first time an actor has tried to fit in with the youths. You think of Jason Priestley in Beverly Hills 90210. I mean, heck, John Travolta in Grease. And you can see him there. He doesn't look incredibly old. And I think the real key to Evan is his isolation. This is someone who is lonely. He is anxious. He is depressed. He is medicated. So the fact that he looks a little apart from the rest of his fellow students, I think just adds to that difference. Now, the reason it's actually called Dear Evan Hansen is because he's in therapy, and his therapist has asked him to write letters to himself to give him the confidence to go back to school. And let's take a listen to what some of those letters sound like.
Today, all you have to do is just be yourself. But also confident. That's important. And interesting. Easy to talk to, approachable. But mostly just be yourself. You know, that's number one, obviously. Be yourself. But like a confident version of yourself. I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key.
All right, so you get a sense of those nerves there, some of his singing style. Now, this story is built on a wobbly Jenga tower of conceits. First, there's Dear Evan Hansen writing that letter to himself. Then he's in class. Inexplicably, he decides to print that letter instead of, you know, saving it to the cloud like a normal student, prints the letter which gets taken by another student who is feeling lonely and isolated named Connor. Connor is being teased. Connor takes Evan's letter, runs away with it. A few days later, we learn that Connor has taken his own life. Now, Connor's despondent parents found Evan's letter addressed to Evan on Connor's person, and so they make the assumption that Connor and Evan were friends. Here's Evan's family friend Jared saying, yeah, just kind of go with it. Take a look.
Really gonna tell these people that the only thing they have left of their son is a letter that you wrote to yourself?
So, you and Connor, tell us something, please, Evan.
Right. I started talking and you couldn't stop. They didn't want me to stop.
I'm putting together a memorial service. If you wanted to do something.
Connor showed me that I wasn't alone. Nobody is. I wish we could have given that to him.
So there you go. He's getting in deeper. They're creating a charity in Connor's name. The school is kind of really embracing him as the supposed friend of Connor. He's meeting the family, Connor's sister Zoe, but it's all based on that original deceit.
Okay, so they have the OG Ben in the big screen version, but I noticed there are some big stars as well. So who did they recruit for the film version?
I mean, as you can imagine, with a Broadway smash, a Tony Award-winning hit like this, they didn't have any trouble finding talent. You may have already noticed Amy Adams as Connor's mother. Julianne Moore plays Evan's mother. Caitlin Denver, I remember her from the movie Booksmart. She plays Zoe, Connor's sister. Now, the director of all of this is Stephen Chbosky. He is known for directing films like The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So, you see the direction here. Like, he knows how to give us high school drama and angst. But I gotta say, Maribel, for me, the biggest stumbling block is Evan himself. This character is so insular, so sad, so shy. He just wants to kind of crawl into that locker and disappear. And it's really tough to root for someone like that, especially when the only thing that changes him is when he hangs on to this lie as it gives him this taste of high school fame, and then he just kind of magnifies it. And this leads to really bizarre moments. Like, there's a song called that he sings to his to Connor's sister, called If I Could Tell Her. So this is a song where Zoe is missing her brother, and Evan is saying, you know what, Connor really loved you. He just never expressed it. But this is what Connor told me about you. Now, Connor never said any of this. This is all pretend, but Evan is using it as a way to get closer to Zoe and actually express the fact that he's been kind of crushing on her and he's been paying attention to her and she's a wonderful person, except he's expressing this through the voice of her dead brother, which is icky, perhaps, to say the least.
There's so many storylines, I think, sort of trying to weave their way in and out here. Those aside, though, Eli, what do you think about the way they adapted this to the big screen?
So again, they made some really interesting choices. Some of my favorite moments are when music and movies and cinematography and choreography and everything all come together. The director here said, I don't want to make a musical with a capital M. So instead, his approach is something much more intimate and intense. When people sing songs, they're not all singing together. It's like they step into their own little pocket universe where you actually see Evan singing in high school as people just go about their business, walking around him. Now, there is one big anthem on the stage and in the film, You Will Be Found. Let me give you a taste of what that feels like, then I'll explain what they did.
Actually friends with him.
I never meant to make it such a mess. I was trying to help. If you knew who I am.
So there you go. I mean, you see they're using a lot of cinematic language, flashbacks, montages. If you saw it on stage, you'd see all these people standing together. Evan makes this speech about feeling alone. Other people respond to it, and it goes viral. The way they did that on stage is really creative, using projectors and screens. But in the film, you've got teenagers doing selfies to their phones, and then they stitch all those selfies together into this giant mosaic of faces. They're still alone, but they're together, but they're still alone. As you may imagine, not a big fan, so I think if you love the musical, you can look past the flaws. I didn't. I couldn't. 2.5 stars out of 5.
Great, so now I'm gonna have to watch this film with no video and I'll just listen to the singing. Okay, thanks, Eli.
You're welcome.
Hey, I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music here, and sometimes you have to wait a while for great things to be created. Brahms' First Symphony took over 20 years. Leonardo da Vinci took over a decade for the Mona Lisa, and the Stooges took over 34 years to come up with a follow-up to Raw Power. But how about this? A music video 28 years in the making. That is what finally materialized this year from the vaults of Canadian independent music when the brilliant Victoria power pop band Bum finally released their first video, almost 30 years in the making. I'll get to that video in a minute, but first, who or what is Bum? Check it out. That is the rock band Bum, live from the Crocodile Cafe in Seattle, Washington, back in 1994. Now, Bum were a mercurial band that rose out of the Victoria music scene in the early 1990s and released one of the greatest power pop punk debut albums ever, called Wanna Smash Sensation in '93. Sadly, this band's greatness remained at a cult level here in North America, but Bum did become very popular in Spain. Yeah, that's Bum, straight from Victoria, BC, to a packed and sweaty Revolver Club in Madrid, Spain, back in 1994. And that particular song, called A Promise is a Promise, was a huge audience favorite, as you can see and hopefully hear in there. Unfortunately, Bum broke up in the mid-1990s without ever reaching the widespread musical acclaim that they deserved. But in 2014, Bum reformed for a series of shows, including this one in their hometown of Victoria. That's Bum at their first reunion show in 2014 at the Rifflandia Music Festival in Victoria. So what about that long-lost video that I mentioned? Well, according to guitarist and singer Rob Nesbitt, back in 1993, Bum attempted to make a music video for their excellent song called Instant Kool-Aid. But when they finished shooting, they realized that they never actually captured the band performing the song in one complete take. And so no one bothered to edit the footage until this year. Rob Nesbitt, who still plays music in his own band, the Sweet 16, spent many hours stitching together the footage, and 28 years later, Bum has their first music video. There you go, almost 3 decades in the making. That is the debut video from Bum for their pitch-perfect power pop song, Instant Kool-Aid. And that's the tune that you need to add to your Lost Gems playlist for this week. You can find Bum's music on Bandcamp and check out Rob Nesbitt's epic rock project, The Sweet 16, as well. That one only took 25 years to finish, but that's a whole other story. I'm Grant Lawrence. Keep Canadian music alive, and I'll check in with you again soon.
Canadian sprinter and Olympic gold medalist Andre DeGrasse visited his hometown of Markham for a special cause. In the spring, Andre collaborated with a high school teen to raise awareness for mental health and physical fitness among youth. His initiative, Race With Me, a virtual challenge, helped many kids get back on the racetrack. The 8-week event raised $25,000. It was donated to Kids Help Phone, and he spoke with us about the project.
I mean, it's been such a tough year and a half with kids and not being able to compete in sport and or just do anything, any physical activity, or so they just really kind of been on the couch. And when Jesse Briscoe, this 15-year-old, and his dad Rob came up to me and said, "Hey, they want to start this challenge of trying to get kids back off the couch and get them moving again." I was all for it because, of course, as a parent myself. I know that can be a struggle if your kid is not able to get into any type of physical activity. So When we started this challenge, I didn't expect it for it to be so big and for it to blow up like it did, but it was just an amazing feeling that everyone from across the country just took part in it, and they were so proud of my accomplishments, and they were just so happy to do the challenge that we ended up raising so much money, and it was just an incredible feeling.
And a big act of kindness from one of the Toronto Raptors' biggest stars. Forward Pascal Siakam has donated $100,000 to the Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital in Toronto. It's part of his PS43 Foundation Canada. The money will go to help children and youth with disabilities. Siakam says the cause is close to his heart.
And I think just like sometimes taking a step back and being able to just like see that, there's a lot more in the world than basketball, and I think for me, like, it gives me a great level of joy to just come in here. These kids, like, we all know what they go through, and to just see them, continue to interact, like, be happy, smile, and no matter what, like, I think for me that's like the greatest joy that you could ever give me.
About 30 lucky children also got to meet the Raptors star. Siakam says he's glad to be back in Toronto after the team played last season in Tampa. The Raptors will open their preseason against the Philadelphia 76ers on October 4th. It is the team's first game at Scotiabank Arena in more than 19 months. A Peterborough woman uncovered boxes of buried treasure in her home during the pandemic, all filled with sheet music dating back to the 30s. Turns out it was music played by her late grandparents, who performed as a live duo in Toronto and abroad. We spoke with Joanne Cully about the discovery and what it means to her to have this new window into their lives.
It was quite an adventure discovering all this music. During the pandemic, I finally had enough time to tackle a task that I've been putting off for many years. I inherited 8 boxes of sheet music from my grandparents, and I just took them down to the basement and didn't really even look at them. I started one by one uncovering them and realized there were about 2,000 individual pieces of music in every genre from the 20th century. And some of the music is stamped with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. My grandparents were a 2-piano, 4-hands team, popular in the 1930s on the radio in Toronto. They had shows on CKCL and CFRB, and it really was the golden age of radio. During the Depression, many people couldn't afford to go out to live concerts, and it was a free form of entertainment. George Gershwin, of course, he was one of the most famous composers at the time. Some of it was actually arranged for 2 pianos, 4 hands, but some of the music was just for solo piano. So my grandfather would have to write out a second part for Ida, whose stage name was Claudette. My grandmother wrote notes, well, how long the piece was and, which hands to use.
Knowing how the sheet music collection was used is sort of unique and interesting in that way. So it's really a collection unto itself, like not just a collection of sheet music, but it tells the story of these 2 performers and what they played or what they collected and what they kept. If there are little notes in them to themselves, either like performing notes or things like that would be interesting too.
I think the music really helped me to get into the milieu of the time period. I was also working on finishing a novel that I started called Claudette on the Keys, which is loosely inspired by my grandparents' lives. And it follows them during the Great Depression and how they lose their work and travel to England at a time when fascism is on the rise and how they get drawn into the pre-war intrigue.
Memories there. And that's our show for you this week. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.